Okay, good morning, friends. Shalom Aleichem, Baruch Haba. We're continuing in Mishnah Daf HaShavua. We're up to Siman Kuf Chaf Ches. We're in middle of Seif Lamed Zayin. Just want to begin by, I have regards for all of you from Rabbi Meir HaKohein, the Baal Chavetz Chaim. He wishes you all bracha v'atzlacha, and he gives you birchas kayanim, especially those who are learning Hilchos Birchas Kayanim. Siman Kuf Chav Ches Sif Lamed Zayin. The Mechaber brings an opinion. A mumar cannot duchan. Some say if he does tshuva, he could duchan. The Bir Halacha brought a machlokes. Does that apply? Does this machlokes apply to Kohein Shahar Ages Hanefesh? And Sif Lamed Hey, the Mechaber didn't bring down such a machlokes, but some achronim say it applies there as well. The Mishnah says in Sif Kadon Kuf Lamed Hey, Yesh Oimrim Shem Asa Tshuva v'chulu Hainu Afilu Avad Avodas Gilulim B'Mezid. That is, even if a person worshipped idols B'Mezid, Tshuva will help. Then, and by the way, the Ramah says V'chein Iker Shem Asa Tshuva, it works, which is interesting that in Sif Lamed Hey, the Ramah also said Yesh Oimrim Dem Asa Tshuva Noisei Kapav. And he says, V'yesh lahakel, v'hachi nahog. But he didn't say, that's the Iker Shita. You know, it's interesting. There, the Ramah said that there's a Yesh Oimrim that if a murderer did Tshuva, he could duchan. The Ramah said you could be lenient, and the minhag is to follow that. Here he says the Iker Shita is like the opinion that if you do Tshuva, it helps. Just to review one more time, when it came to murder, the Mechaber did not bring down this Yesh Chalkim, which implies that he holds that by murder it's much worse because of the Svar of Incisive Nasa Sanega, which is the opinion of El Rabbi Yehuda. But the Oilas Tamid and the Gra, who also sends regards, says that it's Muchach that the Mechaber is Soimech on the Yesh Chalkim. By the way, in terms of our diuk, of why the Ramah here. Well, let me just finish with the Bir Halach and have an interesting ha'ara. Le'inyan dina, the Ramah paskins lahakel by a murderer, and he says that's the minhag, even b'mezid. The Pri Chadash and the El Yarabba, they hold that by mezid you can't do tshuva. So I just want to point out an interesting ha'ara. To write it down. And this is a ha'ara which is not like the Oilas Tamid and the Gra, which is more mashma like the El Yarabba. Namely, in Sif Lamed Hey, the Ramah brings down a Yesh Oimrim that if you do tshuva it helps, and you could be mekel, and that's the minhag. However, in Sif Lamed Zayin, the Ramah says more than that. The Iker Shita is a Masa Tshuva Noisei Kapav. I think there's a difference in the Ramah between Sif Lamed Hey and Lamed Zayin. In Lamed Hey, he brings down a Shita. He says Yesh, that you could be Mekel, and the minhag is to be Mekel, but he did not say the Iker Shita Lahalacha is that we're lenient. By a Mumar, he did say, and I think that's because of the Svar of the Bir Halacha, namely that Ein Kategar Nasa Sanegar, meaning by murder, the Iker Shita is not that we're lenient. The Iker Shita maybe is that we're not lenient. It's a kula to be lenient. Here the Ramah doesn't say it's a kula to be lenient or the minhag is to be lenient. The Ramah says the Iker Deya is that we're mekel. In other words, like the Svar of the Bir Halacha, and in that case, you can't assume that just because the Mechaber brought down a Yesh Oimrim in Sif Lamed Zayin, that Yesh Oimrim would apply in Sif Lamed Hey. Okay. Sif Katan Kuf Lamed Vav L'divrei HaKol Noisei Kapav. According to everyone, he could duchan. If an oinus happened, everyone says he could duchan. What does that mean? Imnenas L'divrei HaKol Noisei Kapav. Says the Mishnah, V'after b'Rambam shu bal deya rishayna. Even though the Rambam, who's the first opinion that Mumar lo yisas kapav is the Rambam. The second opinion is Rashi and Rabbeinu Gershon then im asa tshuva noisei kapav. Even though the Rambam, who's the first opinion, writes behedya that if he served avodah zarah ba'oines, he can't duchen. Hachamari beloya avoda adayin rak shehimar dase. That's talking about he just converted, but he didn't worship idols yet. Dahainu shahoida lavaz gilulim. He acknowledged avodah zarah v'kibla be'eloya, and he accepted as a god. So the Rambam says mumar, even if he just converted, cannot duchen, even if he didn't worship yet. V'afte gam zehu ka'ovid avaz gilulim mamish. Even though conversion is like idolatry, le'inyan chiyav misa b'meza, that if you do it intentionally, chayav misa. Kamakim inyan onos, if someone was coerced, makilan l'nasiyas kapayim, will be makel for duchen and kivna kapanim la'yasa maisa. So, when the Mechaber says v'imnenas l'divrei hakol noiseyas kapav, so the Mishnah is bothered by a question. How could l'divrei hakol noiseyas kapav? But the Rambam, who's the first shita, he says that ba'oines lo yisas kapav. The answer is v'imnenas here is talking about if somebody converted and under duress, they would be able to duchen. If somebody worshipped idols under duress, then the Rambam would say you could duchen, but the Rambam would disagree. Sif lamed ches. Shasa revius yayin bevas achas. If someone drank a revius of wine in one shot, lo yises kapav. Shesa'an b'shtei pam, if he drank it in 2 gulps, or shenasan sechmat maim, or dilute with a little bit water, mutter. Says the Mishnah Berurah, revius yayin bevas achas. The birchas kohenim medaminon la'avoida, u'ba'avoida b'mikdash b'chai gavna chayev. Birchas Kohanim, we compare to avoida, and the avoida, you would be chayiv misa if you drank this amount. So too, by duchening, if you drank revius, you cannot do the avoida. Now, this is very interesting, because when it comes to all these Isurim in the Torah, even if you interrupt the Shesia of the Revius, it's still considered Shasa Kol HaShiva Vasachas. The Dirsha brings from the Mizrahi that here it's different, because it's only Asr Taduchin if you drink Derech Shichros, like the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer, who darshans the pasuk Yayin V'Sheichar Al Teisht, that you're now to drink Yayin Derech Shichros. But once you interrupt in middle, or you put a little water, this is not derech shichros. In other words, this is not going to help you when you drive. If you can't say, yeah, I drank, but I drank it in 2 gulps, or I put a little water. What's the lumdus of drinking in 2 gulps or putting a little water? It's not considered derech shichros. Okay.
Why does the lump have to do with the holiest din drinking versus what your state of mind is?
Because there's no psul about state of mind. Nowhere does it say that if you don't have the proper state of mind, you can't duchen. It's not.
We have by davening the state of mind as an issue. Didn't we say that?
That's dafka for Shemona Esrei. You don't have it for other parts of davening. Fakir, there's no din by Kriya Shema that a shasoy can't say Shema. It's only dafka oimed lefnei hamelech. So if it's so that doesn't apply to duchen. It's only no Shema is not oimed lefnei hamelech. No. Avoid lefnei Beis Hamikdash is something else. This week's Parsha, you can't do the avoida shaso yayin. Parsha Shmini. Yayin v'sheichar al teisht. So that's a din. No, that's derech shichros. We paskin that's derech shichros. The Gemara in Krisus and Daf Yud Gimel says that's only derech shichros. So therefore, if you interrupt by Berchas Kohanim, meaning for Shemona Esrei, this is not going to necessarily help you. What about if you drank yayin b'toich hasuda? It's einoi meshaker. It's einoi meshaker. So by tefillah, that is a heter. Einoi meshaker is a heter by tefillah, but derech shichrus is not. Okay. Ma'at ma'im rotzelem v'shlo yayin chayrak mazg ma'at. Then it is mutter the haygavna ba'mikdash in a chayev. In the mikdash you won't be chayev. V'rak yisura ba'alma. It would only be aser to do the avodah. In the mikdash you only chayev misa if it's derech shichrus. If it's not derech shechros, it's aser. Ulach when it says kapayim, which is more lenient than avodah, then it's mutter l'charchila. So I wonder, regarding the shir revius, is it a shir da'iraisa? Let's say according to Moshe, 4.42 ounces, or is it a shir d'Rabbanan of 3.3 ounces? L'maisa, this is a din d'Rabbanan. But you'd only be chayiv l'chayra, I would say, it would only be aser to Duchan if you drink the shir da'iraisa. Why? Because the whole lumdus is that anything that in the mikdash you'd be chayiv misa is aser by nesias kapayim. Anything which is only aser by the mikdash, you're allowed to do l'charchila by nesias kapayim. So l'chayra, you'd only be chayiv misa if you drank a shir da'iraisa. So too, it would only be aser by duchaning if you drank a shir da'iraisa. If you drank 3.3 ounces, it would be mutter l'chadchila to duchen. That's what maybe it would come out. Okay, Rabbi Say, we'll hold it over here. Shkayach.